Welcome to the Porn Reboot podcast, where you get practical tips to gaining control over your porn or sex addiction. We help ambitious men end their out-of-control sexual behavior with pornography, sex, and masturbation so that you can maximize your life, perform at your potential, and remain in control in the driver's seat, which is where you have to be in order to gain or maintain the success you want in life. I'm your host, J.K. Emezi, certified sex and porn addiction recovery coach. Welcome to the episode. Brothers, anyone can talk the talk, but not everyone can walk the walk. And that's why here at Porn Reboot, where we do walk the walk, I'll be sharing every few episodes some snippets of success stories and testimonials from brothers who are in our implementation intensive and in our free groups. And they're going to be sharing some of the results they've been getting so that this can further inspire you to take action on all the different tips and techniques that you learn while listening to the Porn Reboot podcast. Enjoy.
Hey everyone, I have here Khem. He just came out the implementation program and he's willing to share his story and journey and all his wins and perhaps some losses, but lessons learned, right? Throughout his reboot journey. Khem, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came across the Porn Reboot program?
So I came across this like a couple of years ago. Currently, I'm 22 years old. And so I came across it when I was around 18 years old. And so around that time, I saw JK's videos in YouTube. And around that time, I started knowing that porn is bad. And I started feeling very guilty because I was doing it. And so I searched up YouTube videos on how to quit porn, and I found JK's video. And his video was very informative, and he himself was a former addict, so he knew everything about it. And so I don't know if he had the program around that time, but I think it may be that like he developed it later on. And so I found a link to his program, I clicked on it, and then so what happened around that time was I got into the program, I paid everything, and then basically I was in there, I learned a lot about myself, and I know that JK corrected me on many things. And I was young, I was a bit arrogant at that time. All young are like that.
Yeah.
All 18-year-olds. So I'm thankful to JK that he gave me a dose of reality with his words. And his words, they pissed me off at that time. Later on, looking back, no, it was all good. Looking back, it was all for my good. And so I left the program around that time because I had enlisted in the military. And so I went to boot camp and did my basic training. And I was still in the program at the time. I just wasn't very active.
Okay.
And from then on, due to my inactivity, I would say, kicked out of the program. And then in 2023, I came back again. And so here we are.
Nice. So you previously joined the program and you joined it again in 2023. So what was going on? What was going on in your life during that time? If you're willing to share, what was going on? You know, besides pornography, what was fueling that addiction?
Okay. So what was fueling my addiction was that I truly believe that people that are addicted to porn are addicted because they don't like their life. Their life, the way it is, they don't like it. They hate themselves, basically. And then their beliefs, they believe something else, but then they do something else, right? Yeah. And they're basically in a cognitive dissonance. And so what's happening is that due to their conflicting actions and beliefs, that's where shame and guilt comes from. And then it turns into depression and everything.
Yeah.
And so what was going on in my life was basically I was in a relationship with a girl, and I was in the relationship for about 5 months, and then we broke up. Actually, she broke up with me. But the thing was that many times we would break up, go back again, break up, go back again, back and forth. Eventually, she broke up. And so I thought I was the tough guy at that point. Yeah. I thought I had thought about the breakup long before it happened. And I was like, okay, if the breakup does happen, how would I react? And I was thinking in my head that, okay, if it happens, I'm a tough guy. Like, it doesn't matter for me. I don't care. I will just brush it off. It didn't go as planned. I wasn't able to brush it off that easily.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I couldn't shake off the pain, man. And so at that time, I was also in a company, life insurance company. I was working there, and I wasn't making any sales, to be honest, and which depressed me even more. I wasn't making any sales, and I was actually doing quite well, like before the breakup. But when the breakup happened, it's like my life started to go downwards. Everything, I was in a negative spiral, so to speak. And So what ended up happening was that, so the breakup happened at August 1st, 2023. No, it actually happened in our birthday. So July 29, 2023, it was my girlfriend's birthday. We broke up, and a couple of days later, I got robbed. I was held at a gunpoint, and I actually reacted quite well at that time. I didn't cry, I didn't piss my pants. Nothing like that. But it was my first
Yeah.
time being held at a gunpoint like that. And then a couple of months later, I hit a deer. I was driving, and then boom, I got in the car accident. Hit a deer badly. My life took a turn for the worst.
Yeah.
And then it just, things started to look very bad. And then, as you may know, what that does, right? Like it
Oh, yeah.
exacerbates the problem even more. I was already coping with porn and masturbation, and I went further into it because that was my only way out, what I thought. And then, so Brother Hunt at that time, so the thing about Brother Hunt is that, like, kept up with me over the years. He would sometimes check in, hey brother, how you doing? And then I would say, I'm good. And then, so he did the same thing, and he asked me how my reboot was, how I'm doing, if I'm still struggling with porn or not around that time. And obviously I was. So I said yes. And then he scheduled a call, and then we got into a call, and then we talked about it, and then I got back into the program again.
Hey, man. So, yeah, you went through a lot, brother. He said that so casually, but I understand that we all go through low points in our lives and it sucks because I remember those feelings, and it feels impossible, right? You're like, damn, I don't get what else can happen, right? You're ready for the next thing, and you're just expecting, right? Unless you reach out, and it's hard. I get that. That's prideful, right? We're men. We get prideful, and we think we could still do it on our own, and I feel like that's dangerous because now it's like, oh, but our thinking and energy is not there. It's not optimal where we can make our own decision to pull ourselves out. But ultimately, it is up to us. And you reach, Han happened to, Han, shout out to Han. He's an awesome freaking Reboot strategist. And yeah, man, that's what we need. We need that. You got that hope. We're like, hey, we got you. Let's get back. It's not impossible. Many of us have been at low points in our lives. And we need those low points. We need those low points sometimes to get out of that rut or to actually end our behavior. Everyone's low point is different. So thank you for sharing that, Khem. That was very vulnerable of you. And so having gone through all that, you came back to the program. What did you implement right away? What was that one thing that got the ball rolling for you?
That got the ball rolling for me. So as I started watching the modules, and the modules were similar to how I remember as an 18-year-old. And so the thing is, like, with JK, like he's almost 40 years old. And I see him in his stories, he's always grinding. He's always working very, very hard. He's very consistent and disciplined. So what I implemented right away was the mindset that I learned from looking at JK, looking at his life. I've only seen snippets of his life. I don't know the man wholeheartedly, but I know enough to admire him.
Yeah.
And so what I implemented right away was the mindset, right? And he was the one who started the program. So I implemented his mindset. And so his mindset is basically be consistent, whether you feel like it or not. So that's what I did. And I didn't give up. And he's always saying slips are data, slips, it's a way to learn, right? And that was the hardest thing to learn for me, because whenever I slipped, whenever I watched porn, I would take that personally. I would take it as, oh, I'm a loser. I keep going back to the same behavior. And that's how I was stuck in the cycle. That's how I was stuck in the loop, because I felt like a loser.
Yeah.
Therefore, I went back to the behavior. It's the identity, you know what I mean? And coming into the program, my identity began to shift. I started seeing more. Whereas as a 18-year-old, I hadn't seen many things because I was ignorant, right? But
yeah,
I became older, wiser. I came back to the program, much more humble, and basically that's what I implemented right away.
Nice, man. And that's a good one to implement. And you're right. It could piss you off when like slips our data. Like, okay, I get it. But it's like, you got to understand, you still attached to your failures. You're still attached to this negative cycle. There's attachment. And when we say slips of data, we're conditioning you to be like, okay, just observe it objectively. Oh yeah, it's not me. I just didn't tighten up a boundary, right? I didn't reach out. I didn't implement this tool. I haven't been attending live calls, right? Whatever it is. And that becomes your identity, right? That becomes, once your actions become part of your lifestyle, those habits you created. Yeah, it gives you that confidence. Hey, it's possible to keep moving forward. So thank you for that, Khem. And what was the main thing you used? What stuck with you? What became part of your self-image? That one thing, the tool or morning routine. What was that for you? I know you mentioned mindset, but what specifically how did you implement it?
Mindset. So what stuck with me is that
Journaling. Nice.
journaling. Yep. As men, we don't always like to be vulnerable. We don't always like to share our feelings, right? But journaling has stayed with me.
Nice.
And I do journal about my feelings, right? And then also, this is very important. This is super important. I would say this is the most important thing, is learning to be vulnerable. That stuck out to me the most. Because before coming into the program, I was going through life alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I felt alone, but then coming into the program, I see so many guys struggling, right? That let me know I'm not the only one struggling, that there are other men, and that I don't have to feel so bad. You know, it's not just a one man problem. It's many men struggle with this. And we're all here to lift each other up. And then the courage to be vulnerable, that stayed with me. Because I didn't know that as 18-year-old. Because if I knew the things I knew now as 18-year-old, I would have way before been completely free.
Definitely.
But I didn't know.
You're right, man. Vulnerability everyone could always work on their vulnerability. I feel even myself, I'm very open about, if you ask me, I'll tell you, right? But sometimes I keep certain things to myself because of like a pride too. Like, I could handle it. As a man, I don't want to, I don't feel like sharing it. And those probably are the things that are holding me back from growing too. So yeah, vulnerability is huge. And that's the one thing I guess I learned that if it give me a safe environment to do it and container, it's actually a good thing for you to do. And that's what the group does. And that's why we encourage a lot of brothers that come in. Hey, just share. Say it's a secret Facebook page, right? No one's going to see it but the brothers. And that kind of creates like, oh, I could share. And you realize, like you said, oh, my problem's not unique as I thought it was. Like, oh shit, this guy's feeling the same way I am. Oh, and you put everything in perspective and be like, you know what? Oh, I relate with this brother. And then you guys connect, right? And it builds a community and bonding. And thank you for that, Khem. That's something that, everyone could work on, being vulnerable. And the next question for you, brother, did you attend any of the live coaching sessions like Milan, was Dr. Jessica Eastman or Ranken? Did you attend any of those calls? If you did, which one did you enjoy the most or you got out of? Did you implement their tools and all that stuff?
So I would say I enjoyed all of them, but what stood out to me was Dr. I believe his name is Howard.
Yeah, Ranken Howard, yes.
Ranken Howard, yes. So I talked to him and he's an amazing guy. I hope he's still those live coaching calls, yeah. And so I learned from him. I remember one time I was talking to him and he was talking about that when those moments arise, those moments of temptation where we feel weak, if we react differently, as in react in a way that doesn't lead to porn and masturbation, what ends up happening is that you create a neural pathway in your brain of how to react next time. And so that conditions the brain to act in a different way. Because many of us have thought that porn is the only way because our brain is conditioned to that. We don't know of any way because we haven't thought of other ways. We haven't explored other ways to handle stress, all of that. And so from him, I learned that, okay, so that means that every time I get tempted, every time I have the urge to do it, I act in a different way. I act in a manner that would not lead me back to porn and masturbation. That means that, okay, new neural pathways are created. And as I act on those different ways over and over again, what ends up happening is that becomes solidified. And then, boom, there you go. You have a different way of being now. And then your identity starts to shift little by little. It doesn't happen rapidly, but little by little.
That's good, man. And you're right. It's over time, right? You just do a little bit of action. And yeah, and it does take time because you're right. We out of however old you are, whoever's listening to this, right? It really depends if it's 15 years of your life that you condition your freaking brain to, oh, I'm stressed, I'm going to go watch porn and masturbate. It's going to take time. And that's okay, right? And it's progress over perfection, as we say in the group. And that's key. Just keep going and it'll happen, right? If you notice, you might slip, but the frequency of your slips are less now, right? You're noticing I should do every day. Now it's maybe once a month. But then you realize, okay, this data I need to, perhaps I'm dealing with something that I just can't see yet. So let me go to a coach to get there faster. That's why coaches are there. Oh, you know what? You're still avoiding this hurt from your past. You need to deal with it. Oh, boom. And then that kind of shoots you up to that quantum leap, right? That term. But that's good, man. Thank you, Khem. And what would you say are the top positive emotions that you experience from just rebooting in the program?
Rebooting.
Yeah. What was it? What is the positive emotions that came from just actually persevering and following the program and structure?
So I felt accomplished.
Accomplished. Nice.
Then I felt like that this is not the hardest battle I would go through. This isn't the hardest. As in, I felt as if like I was being prepared for greater challenges.
Nice.
Right. And the other is I felt a sense of duty because other men are struggling, right? They don't know nearly as much as I do.
Yeah.
So I need to help them. I need to be a mentor, a guide, just like what JK did. And he's still doing it. And he's going to continue doing it.
I love that, man. That's good. Because so it gave you a sense of you accomplished, you build courage, right? I feel that's what you're trying to say. You build courage to handle tough things. And it's okay to grow. It's okay to be uncomfortable. That's part of life. And that's good, man. Purpose, sense of that's awesome. I love that. And that's like the byproduct when someone's rebooting, when it's not everyone experiences this, but they want to help others. Like, hey, man, do this. And you just want to give back because of how like you got the energy now to be like, you know what? This is very important and you should get a handle of it, which is cool, man. That's awesome. So, Khem, I appreciate your time. Any last words you want to give the listener here before we sign off?
Absolutely. Always.
Go for it, brother.
The last words I would give the listeners is my brother. I'm talking to the listener, by the way. My brother, I know you're struggling and I understand your pain. But the thing is, my friend, that pain is the past. And what will help you the most, my friend, to overcome these behaviors, you must see yourself as better than this. You must see yourself as I'm too good for this. I am too good to watch porn. I am too good to masturbate. I am too good. I love myself so much that I refuse to go back to porn and masturbate. You must view yourself as that. And doing that will over time change your identity. And that even when you might feel like at times like going back to porn and masturbation, you will not, because that will stick with you. You would have rewired your brain subconsciously. And then those urges are not going to be so strong because you now believe that you're too good to go back to porn. And your mindset is so strong that pornography is just something that you dealt with in the past. Now you're a different man. And I believe in you, my brother.
I love that, man. Thank you. Listen, you heard that? Those are encouraging words from Khem, a brother who's was in a struggle and still growing, by the way, right? It never stops. Your journey never stops. You keep growing and you notice that, hey, I need to just keep improving. And Khem said, I'm not a man who doesn't do this anymore. It's like you make that choice. I'm not a man that doesn't do it. And that's awesome, brother. Thank you. So everyone, I want to thank Khem. Thank you for sharing your story and your wins and your struggles and how you persevere, brother. It was very encouraging. I appreciate you sharing that. And listener, hey, man, what are you waiting for? If you're contemplating on joining the program, what's stopping you, man? It's 5 years will go by and you'll be like, hey, damn, I'm still watching Orestes here, fucking interviewing more people and I'm still freaking jerking off, right? I don't want that for you. I want you to get your life together and just experience a great brotherhood in the program, in the group. The Facebook group is amazing. And having said all that, thank you, Khem and listener, and I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you, brother.
I'm JK, your brother in this struggle. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Porn Reboot podcast. I'll speak to you later on in the week. If you found this episode helpful, here are 4 ways I can help you with your out-of-control sexual behavior for free. The first way is to grab a free copy of my book, Confessions of a Porn Addict, 7 Secrets of Porn-Free Men at elevatedrecovery.org, or visit the link in the description below this episode. The second way is, if you're not sure where to start, but you'd like to learn more about my team and I, if you'd like to spend time with like-minded professionals and business owners who are controlling their behavior, then join our free and confidential group, the Porn Reboot group on Facebook. There's a link to join in the description below this episode. The third way is if you need help right now because you have a burning issue, your behavior with pornography is hurting you mentally or emotionally, you're about to lose your relationship, you want to live up to your potential, be an authentic man, and free yourself from shame, guilt, and underachieving, then click on the link in the description below this episode that says free coaching call. And the fourth way is to leave us a 5-star review if you enjoy this podcast, so that we can reach more men who are struggling in silence and bring back the lessons we learn from coaching them to freedom.